Why Raheem Sterling joining Arsenal was such a fantastic deal for Mikel Arteta's Premier League ambitions, for the player himself. And in this video, we're going to break down what Raheem Sterling will bring to Arsenal Football Club. It's such an exciting transfer. It's such an interesting deadline day deal. We've seen a lot of them down the years. But Raheem Sterling going from Liverpool to City to Chelsea to Arsenal, a career journey that it must be quite rare in football to be playing for 4 massive clubs. And therein, I think, lies a massive part of the answer to this video of why I think Raheem Sterling is such a good signing for Arsenal. These aren't joke transfers. A club of the size of Chelsea, Man City, Liverpool, who brought him in at such a young age from QPR's academy. They are talking about a kid that has got unbelievable pace, unbelievable intelligence on the football pitch, and leadership as well. I think he leads by example. That kind of transfer going from, particularly the one from Chelsea, where Chelsea trusted to put £50 million on the table for Raheem Sterling, who ended his time at City a little bit flat, there's no question about it. There's still trust that you can get a lot of value out of Raheem Sterling, that he's going to bring something. And maybe some Chelsea fans would say that he did, particularly in that first season where a lot of players were coming in and out, there's a lot of turbulence. Raheem Sterling still showed up, worked hard for the club. We can debate his qualities maybe later in the video if he's world-class, etc. But ultimately, Raheem Sterling is a tried and tested, proven winner, 4-time Premier League winner, Champions League finalist, so many caps for England, so many goals for England. And since 2012, the 4th most goal involvements in the Premier League, ahead of De Bruyne, just behind the likes of Harry Kane. So this guy, these are real numbers. And yes, there'll be a debate if he can continue these numbers. Of course, last season for Chelsea, very flat. 19 goals in 81 appearances. I actually wouldn't argue is that bad for Chelsea. A Chelsea side that had Graham Potter, that had Bruno for a game, that had Frank Lampard coming back. So many different chopping and changing managers. It's a goal every 4 or 5 with an assist, 12 assists and 81 appearances as well. That's not bad. And then you've got to look at his Man City record. That's what I think Mikel Arteta is hanging his hat on. This isn't a 38-year-old guy, a 37-year-old guy. He's 29 years old. He's still in his prime. If you think he is, you're taking a gamble. It's a bit like when Liverpool signed Chiesa for £12.5 million. You are gambling that he's still at the level that maybe Juventus thought he was a couple of years ago. Is Raheem Sterling at the Man City level? We've not seen it now for a couple of years. But these numbers, 339 appearances, 131 goals, a 1 goal every 3. And those goals, they weren't joke goals. They were goals that got City to winning Premier League titles. Goals from long range, great finishes in the box. Yes, some people will say he's a little bit of a tap-in merchant. Yes, some people will say his first touch is still really poor. And I would actually be in that camp. But he actually brings so much quality to this Arsenal side. I think it's completely underrated. I think he's one of the most underrated players in the history of the Premier League. This guy's Premier League legacy is quadruple that of Harry Kane. Make no bones about it. Arsenal signing a Premier League legend in the last 10 years for free on a loan deal. So for me, that makes a lot of sense. Mikel Arteta has a forward line that I don't think is dynamic enough to win the Premier League. I said it before Raheem Sterling signed. Look at Liverpool. They've got Chiesa, Jota, they've got Nunes, they've got Salah. City have got, well, obviously Alvarez has gone, but Haaland, you've got Foden in there, Doku and Savinho. So many different options. And you look at Arsenal, and if Martinelli drops out, and I think he has to because I think he's been poor in the last few weeks, even months, then Trossard comes in fantastic. Anything happens to Trossard, you were going down to Eddie Nketiah, who's now left for £30 million. Very, very smart business, to Crystal Palace. The drop-off now is that you go from Havertz down the middle to Jesus. You go from Martinelli to Sterling to Trossard, with Saka as well on the right. And this is an interesting thing positionally, because Raheem Sterling can play on the right and be a traditional winger, whipping it in first time on his right foot. I think he'll be great for Kai Havertz in that regard, if he's trusted to play on the right. Should Saka have an injury, should Saka need to be rested. But I actually think a front 3, Jesus down the middle, Sterling on the left, and then Saka on the right. That is outrageous. Sterling on the left is so good. He can cut in, he can beat people first time. He is outrageously quick, and his pace is still there. I really do think it is. Raheem Sterling, for me, there are some players you can just say to Zidane, go out there and control a game of football and the rhythm of football almost carries Zidane through a game. He knows in his brain what he's doing at every moment of any football match ever. That's his natural talent. Some football players need to be coached every single day. They need to be programmed to do the same thing over and over again. I think Raheem Sterling's natural football IQ is good. I think his natural footballing technique is pretty average for someone that has achieved so much in the game. But Mikel Arteta, whatever we say about his ability to go up against the best managers in Europe and compete, we can debate that all day long. Currently, he's only won the FA Cup. We can debate it. Obviously, he's still one of the best young managers in the world. There's one thing you cannot debate. His time at City, he was absolutely revered for how well he managed players and coach, and then individually kind of created scenarios where these players could improve and develop personally, as people, as individuals. Arteta, it was kind of felt that he brought a little bit more of the humane side to the coaching aspect than maybe Guardiola did. And the big player, the one player that I could say from Man City that suffered in form directly as soon as Mikel Arteta left to take one of the biggest jobs in European football, Arsenal, straight out as a coach, which is an amazing opportunity. As soon as he left the training ground at Man City, Raheem Sterling's form dropped massively. And some players just love being connected to certain managers. Nico Crancho and Harry Redknapp, bit of a weird example, but some players just thrive under being coached by a certain coach at a certain time and place. Raheem Sterling being coached by Arteta, I think arguably the person that got the most out of him. Raheem Sterling is going to bring 100% work rate. He's hungry. He wanted the deal. I think that makes a lot of sense for Arsenal as well. He can play false nine. I've talked about playing on the right. Unlikely with Saka playing basically every game, but a very, very good option if Saka gets injured. On the left, again, he can cut in, score big goals, can carry it past people quite easily. So easily. His pace is unbelievable. Still at 29, it really is. But down the middle is a very interesting thing as well. You could have Martinelli, you could have Saka and Sterling, all with this kind of pace, interchanging. It's got a little bit of the Liverpool under Jurgen Klopp vibe about it. And Pep Guardiola trusted that system in his first couple of years at City with Sane, Sterling, Jesus and or Aguero. All diminutive kind of forwards that had pace and very, very smart kind of football IQ. A lot of people will confuse Raheem Sterling's poor first touch. I still think he's got a really poor first touch. I think he's got really poor natural instincts in front of goal. I do. I think he has to think about things twice when he's trying to tap things into the back of the net. Some players are like that. I have to probably think 10 times before tapping into the back of the net. That's how average and rubbish I am at football. But Raheem Sterling's positional awareness, driving into space, little 1-2s around the corner, buying a foul, very, very smart football. I cannot stress enough how underrated Raheem Sterling is as a player. And yes, a couple of years went by, he went a little bit flat. I mean, Eden Hazard took a year off when Chelsea came 10th. So we can't always discredit players and be so short in our memories about these kind of players. Particularly, I love it when I'm talking about football, people that have got records in the bank, people that have won domestic trebles, people that have played over 50 times for their country and contributed at World Cups, contributed at Euros. These aren't a million years away. Now, the big challenge will be, can Arteta draw these kind of memories back into Raheem Sterling, get the most out of him? There'll be a debate on Football Fan kind of social media that is Raheem Sterling's legs, have they gone? Is he one of those players that, despite being 29, is kind of in footballing terms 35? I think that would be a little bit harsh to suggest. I still think he looks fit. I still think he's also a player that Arsenal, the big thing for Arsenal will be, if they make it deep in the Champions League, which they want to do, they have to surely aim for that. If they want to make it deep into a Premier League run-in, Raheem Sterling's fitness and form is always so consistent. He might not be 10 out of 10. He might not be Gareth Bale levels, but he definitely is a 7 out of 10 almost every week, and he can play 40, 50 games. He's one of the fittest players in the Premier League. I'm a huge fan of Raheem Sterling. I'm not a huge fan of maybe the way his career's gone. I'm not a huge fan of the way maybe he's approached talking about former clubs, for example. But in terms of as a pure footballer, one of the most underrated talents in the Premier League in the last 10 years, perennially slagged off by football fans because he doesn't quite look fashionable. But Raheem Sterling is a winner. He'll bring leadership and experience to an Arsenal side that I think desperately needed it. I think there'd be an argument that Arsenal deserves a little bit more than Raheem Sterling, a kind of semi-Chelsea reject. I mean, he is being literally rejected by Chelsea. Did Chelsea deserve a little bit more? Did Arsenal deserve a little bit more? Someone a little bit closer to their prime, maybe more of a striker than another winger. But ultimately, on deadline day, you can't get much better than Raheem Sterling. The experience he brings, the quality is through and through with Raheem Sterling. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Ultimately, a very interesting deadline day. It's never been the same, really, for the last couple of years. But Raheem Sterling going to Arsenal on a free, on a loan from Chelsea.